Pardon me and my sneezing. Pardon me and my sneezing. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Unless this is your first time seeing me, then hi. Thank you for clicking on this video. My name is Jasmine. I make music commentary videos all related to music, pop culture, and the music industry, so if you're interested, I would suggest to subscribe. Not that you have to listen to me, but I think I make good recommendations. I don't know. For today's video, we're going to be talking about a really interesting situation that was brought to my attention recently about the boy band Why Don't We. Today we're going to be discussing Why Don't We and the current conversation that's taking place all over the internet about them and their management. Lots of people contacted me in my Instagram DMs and tagged me in lots of tweets on Twitter asking me to research and cover this topic just because it's something that fits really well on my channel and something that's super up my alley. I've covered artist mistreatment in videos before. We talked about Psycho and we talked about Taylor Swift and Big Machine Records. So today we're going to be covering the free Why Don't We phenomenon currently taking place, and hopefully I'll be able to explain what's going on and bring a lot more attention to this issue because these things are really important to me and it's really important to bring awareness to them and talk about them. So let's get into it, talking about Why Don't We and the free Why Don't We movement. Why Don't We is a 5-member boy band that was formed in LA in 2016 and consists of members Corbin Besson, Daniel Seavey, Jack Avery, Jonah Mare, and Zach Heron. So this boy band is still, all the members of Why Don't We are all still pretty young, especially in the music scene or in the music business. They're all in their very early 20s. I think that's something kind of important to keep in mind a little bit later when we get into the situation happening here. But anyways, all of these boys had a hobby for singing and were making music before Why Don't We formed in 2016. But after meeting each other through several events like social media events, live shows, things like that, they decided to be a boy band. So they all got together and performed in front of 2 talent managers, one named David Loeffler and one named Randy Phillips. They all got on board, they got a team on board, and the very next day they announced via YouTube that they were continuing making music as a 5-piece. The boys of Why Don't We describe their sound as more of an urban or R&B pop kind of thing, with influences like Frank Ocean, Justin Timberlake, Justin Bieber, and that was definitely reflected shortly after their formation, about a month later when they dropped their first single called Taking You, and then they went on to release the accompanying EP and toured it in 2017. I think Why Don't We gained a fan base pretty quickly and steadily because they were filling such a big like boy band hole at the time. There was a lot of K-pop stuff going on, but there really wasn't any like USA based boy bands or British boy bands or anything of the sort like that. So they came and kind of filled that gap, you know, like the One Direction, Big Time Rush, Jonas Brothers sized hole. So they gained an online fan base pretty steadily, and their fans are called Limelights. But yeah, anyways, Why Don't We had a full studio album out by August of 2018, and then they went on tour for that album in March of 2019. The boys went on a bit of a break in early 2020, but then they came back to release some singles, as well as their second album called The Good Times and the Bad Ones. That second album released early this year in 2021. I think arguably Why Don't We isn't super mainstream, definitely not on the same scale as other bands or artists of their kind, but they still have seen some very impressive success and have a very steady and large fan base standing behind them. Their second album secured a top 10 spot on Billboard and then a #1 spot. They were highlighted by Radio Disney as the next big thing in 2018. They were nominated for an MTV award, they sold out their tour, they played Madison Square Garden. So it's like, yeah, they've done really well for themselves. They are successful, they are doing the damn thing. They're still pretty early into their career, like they've only had 2 albums out, so I think what they've accomplished so far is pretty impressive, and I think they have a good thing going for them. So if that's the case, if they're on their way to really good things and they've had all this success, then what's going on with their management? Well, you guys know how it goes around here. Everything is not what it seems in the music biz. Selena Gomez really spilled with that one. She was actually talking about the music business when she said that. There's always other stuff going on behind the scenes, so let's talk about that. The Why Don't We management issue. As always, the business side of music can be a little bit confusing, so I'm gonna try and walk you through this the best I can, like a nice, slow Sunday stroll through the park. But basically, when Why Don't We was formed as a boy band, they were formed under 2 separate management LLCs, which just stands for Limited Liability Company. Limited liability companies are just legal entities that allow someone to own and operate a business. So in this case, an artist management business or music management business. LLCs are a very popular type of business model because, like it says in the title, your liability is limited, which just basically means you as the owner, your personal assets are protected, like your house, your car. Those things are not going to be affected if your business goes into debt or someone sues the business. And LLCs are also much easier to run than like a big corporation, which is another type of business model, because you don't have to do all the big fancy administrative kind of things, like having shareholders and all these meetings and different directors and blah blah blah. That's such fun stuff to learn about, right? Ha ha ha, go to business school, guys. But anyways, most music management or artist management companies in the music business are LLCs, like the two that Why Don't We operated under. One of these LLCs is called Signature Entertainment and the other one is called PDM3. And both of these LLCs are owned by Why Don't We's managers, David Loeffler and Randy Phillips.
The amount of footage I had to edit out of this because I kept calling him Randy Jackson and laughing my ass off. Like, bye.
But both of these companies retain the rights to manage all aspects of Why Don't We's careers, including their solo careers. They have all rights regarding directing and controlling the band, including like their income, the music, their masters, creative processes, all of that kind of stuff. And it's crazy because all 5 of the boys of Why Don't We are listed as employees of these companies. They're listed as salaried employees. Those boys don't work for you, you work for them. How are you gonna list them as salaried employees of you? Scratching my head, it itches, because I'm confused. But the situation as of now is that the Why Don't We managers, David and Randy, are suing each other. And they're suing each other over control of the band and control of their LLCs. I'm just gonna start calling the LLCs companies because I think that's a little bit less confusing. So they're suing each other over control of the band and their companies. It be your own business partner. Basically, after about a year of managing the boys, Randy left his position as a manager to take a different job with a company called Lifestyle. But after that job, when he came back to manage the boys of Why Don't We again, he claimed that the other manager, David, was refusing to let him come back even though he agreed to before. In Randy's own words in the lawsuit against David, he said that David, quote, abnegated his prior agreement to allow plaintiff to resume the role of manager. So now Randy basically wants a judge to throw David out of the company and give the responsibilities back to Randy. During this whole dispute, the boys of Why Don't We basically sided with Randy and they're standing with him. And they requested to have him back as their sole and only one manager. And until this dispute is settled and they have Randy back as their manager, they're refusing to sign a deal with Atlantic Records. They're refusing to make music together, to perform, etc. So true, Kings, stand your ground. So them refusing to make music and to sign the deal obviously made David mad. He was not having it. So David said, you know what? Now that you bring it up, I am gonna sue you too. I am gonna sue you back. So David filed a lawsuit against all 5 members of Why Don't We for breach of contract, and he filed a lawsuit against Randy for interference with the business relationship. Oh, that's so much information. In case you missed it, here's a speed recap of everything that I just said. So you have Randy and David, 2 talent managers, BFFs forever, so true, let's be business partners. We're gonna set up these LLCs together and use them to manage Why Don't We. Yes, money. 1 year later, Randy's like, I don't know, man, I really want this other job. If I take this job and come back, do you promise I can manage the boys again? And David's like, yeah, man, you can go take that job. We'll welcome you back with open arms when you're ready. So then Randy comes back and he's like, okay, I'm ready to manage the boys again. And David's like, no. And Randy's like, damn, I'm gonna have to sue you then because you said I could come back. And the boys of Why Don't We are like, damn, Randy's right. We want him as our manager and we're not gonna perform or sign a deal until you get rid of David. Yikes. So David's like, wow, well, I'm gonna sue you for breaking your contract then, and you too, Randy, because you're messing up our business. If I was in this situation, I would be on Randy's side too, because David allegedly said he could come back and then said, never mind, you can't. He just seems money hungry to me. Like he's fiending for a feast, I think. But I say allegedly because I don't want to get sued. I don't want to be next on his hit list. Allegedly. We never know the full story, of course, and we always just have to go based on what comes out, but I would take Randy's side. Just saying. So that's basically what started all of this. And because of this ongoing dispute, a lot of other things that happened behind the scenes during Why Don't We's time in the band has come to light, which brings us to the free Why Don't We movement that's going on. Since becoming aware of this manager dispute, a lot of Why Don't We fans limelights, are spreading all kinds of newly discovered information about their mistreatment behind the scenes in hope to free them from their abusive management.
Also, I just want to note real quick that this free why don't we stuff has been going on much longer than just for right now. When I was researching for this video, I found a lot of information from last year before the lawsuit was even a thing, where people were talking about why don't we's toxic management and wanting to free them from the management because they were being so over controlled and mistreated and being shady about it. There's this really good video that I'm going to have linked in the description that kind of explores all of that stuff before the lawsuits. This has been going on for a while. It's just coming to the light much more right now because of the lawsuit. Just wanted to make sure I said that because it's really important. This did not come out of nowhere because their managers are suing each other.
So I just want to give you some examples of some of the mistreatments that have been coming to light about the boys and their management. One of them includes very little space in the house that was given to them to live in, including members having to sleep on blow-up mattresses, under mattresses.
I got the blow-up mattress,
yeah.
You know.
And not being allowed in certain rooms.
What's funny, by the way, is we've never been upstairs.
That was the off limits.
Another really big issue that people have been talking about is David not allowing the boys to eat certain foods. They have to ask his permission to eat foods. And this part of it is crazy to me because there is a video of like an argument taking place between the managers. And this argument took place because one of the members of Why Don't We, Zach, ordered himself a salad because one of his managers said he could. Randy said that he could order a Caesar salad, which is just weird in itself because why do you have to ask your manager what you can eat? That's already a red flag. But then the fact that the two managers argued about it because he ordered himself a salad is even worse.
I'm used to Randy doing whatever the fuck he wants. Cause like I said, he can. He's earned the right. The motherfucker's been doing this his entire life. He's made some of the most incredible fucking things ever. If he wants to order 6 fucking Caesar salads, he can. Zach has not fucking earned the right. He's not fucking Randy Phillips. I don't give a fuck how many times he sits next to him, he's not gonna become Randy Phillips. And who the fuck does he think he is? We were fine. Till you came into the world, no, order this. No, have the fucking chocolate milk and the fucking smoothie. Have that. Order what you want. Do something.
But Dave, wait a second. Chill for a second. Okay? Raising your voice doesn't make it more.
I'm saying, just frustrates the fuck out of me,
Okay.
man. It's the way I can leave my stress out.
No, I understand. Okay, but he's younger than the rest.
Fuck! No! I'm leaving!
Now stop.
Say it again, I'm fucking out of here, man. I'm fucking out of here.
Dave, stop.
Because this man wanted a bowl of lettuce with some cheese and dressing on it. You need to be psychologically evaluated because, like, I'm still sitting here like, what kind of grown-ass man behaves like that? And all the boys were there, too. A salad? Like, imagine if that's what happens when one member orders a salad with one of their manager's approvals. Imagine all the other shit that they probably got into arguments and yelled at about. And that's not even the full clip of the argument. This argument goes on for like 3 solid minutes. I'll have the full clip linked in the description. It's fucking heartbreaking.
They joke around once again, quote unquote, about their strict diets all the time.
You know, to be honest, I do not know if anything really works in this kitchen. We haven't cooked once. You know, I don't even know if the stove works, but you know, most of the time we're living off of ramen. Actually, yeah, ramen, oatmeal. We occasionally we'll throw in some goldfish. You know, goldfish, but yeah, I mean that's about it.
Delivery birthday cupcake from Jack's mom in Pennsylvania. Too bad you can't eat it. Yeah, I'm on a diet.
Yeah, bro, I'll take this.
Frit is so good.
Yeah. Salsa,
You know.
cheese, guacamole.
God, and I can't eat any of it.
This is how it always happens. I think there's so many cases of not even just musicians, but celebrities making jokes about all of these different things that are just genuinely not jokes, but they're like disguised or veiled as jokes. Like they'll be like, oh, ha ha ha, my manager gives me anxiety, ha ha ha, or you know me, strict diet, can't eat that. And it just comes off as them trying to be lighthearted, but there's just so much underlying truth to it that it's like, what's really going on here? And I think it's even more concerning because there is a member of Why Don't We named Jonah who openly talked about struggling so much with body image. I'm gonna read to you the caption that Jonah posted. I'm not gonna lie, there was a time where my thoughts were in a very bad place when it came to my body. This industry can be harsh. I used to have tons of anxiety and I would constantly look at photos of myself and not like how I look, so I would skip meals or only eat a little here and there. I'm so happy to say I've been in a great mindset and taking care of myself. Been in a good workout routine and been eating a lot lately. If you swipe to the left, you'll see a photo of me in October of last year, and the first photo is of me today. I promise to anyone struggling with anything similar, it really does get better, but you have to take initiative. You're 100% capable of being the very best version of yourself. Sorry for the essay, but I thought it was important to keep it real and show y'all. Much love. And he's right. It is important for people to, you know, encourage other people to take care of themselves, especially in this case because men with body image issues or eating issues isn't talked about enough, I don't think. We as a society kind of make it really difficult for men to be open about things like this, especially in the music industry, especially in boy bands, the strict diets and workout routines that they're forced to be on just for marketing purposes. Not only that though, there was also videos that surfaced of the boys discussing having to hide food, and not really related to eating, but also being punished for leaving lights on, just speaking of the harsh controlled environment.
We had a 3-strike rule, and the strikes would be like if we left a bathroom light on.
What? If you had 3 strikes, so you went home.
You went home.
We tried to hide eating gushers one time. Went into our room, ate them, and then threw the wrappers in the toilet because we didn't want any evidence of us eating them.
The toilet got so clogged, the plumber had to come over. He ends up pulling out the gusher wrapper and saying, "This is why it was clogged." And the manager was like,
He had us convinced we were like done as a band.
Insane. There's a part of their book where they openly discussed feeling like they were in boot camp because they had to do every single thing that David told them to do. I'm gonna read you a little bit of what they said in the book. "We made a deal with David, Randy, and a third business partner, digital content delivery entrepreneur Steve Miller, that no matter what, the 5 of us would have a voice in all decisions affecting the group, including the songs we recorded, the venues we played, our image, wardrobe, communication with our fans, and even the title of this very book you're holding. David promised us that he could make us more successful than we ever dreamed of, but the caveat was that we had to do everything he asked, even if it sounded crazy. To execute this plan, our managers moved the 5 of us into this contemporary glass house owned by Randy on a plateau looking over Los Angeles, where we engaged in a practically military-style boot camp. Once again, another case of some men selling young people a dream and then ruining their lives. It's just basically a case of them being treated like puppets, being treated like money-making robots. I've been reading a lot about this topic, and there's allegations that they were also verbally abused by David and controlled like literal house pets. So after learning all of this, it makes a lot of sense to me that these boys would be refusing to make music until they get rid of David. And this is such a real issue that, you know, Why Don't We's family have been speaking up about this. Their parents, brothers and sisters. For example, Daniel's brother Christian said, "Having watched my brother go through some stuff, see how it's changed him, and now hearing some stories from his time in the band and the way they've been treated has been heartbreaking. Hashtag free Why Don't We." So I think that's just something that really speaks to the truth and severity of this situation. I think this is especially really upsetting and disappointing because they're so young, and they were so young when they started this band. Like, there was members who were like 17, still minors, when they started doing all this training and having to report to and listen to their managers like that. And that's something that unfortunately keeps being recycled. In my Psycho video, we kind of talked about that too. The youngest member of One Direction was 16 when they started dealing with that stuff. Fifth Harmony girls, the Little Mix girls, they were like still minors too when they started working with these really abusive management teams and labels. And that's part of the reason why it works out, because when you're so young and you have these people looking you in the eye being like, "We can sell you this dream. We're gonna make you superstars. Don't worry, you'll have full control of your life." I mean, you're this young minor with stars in your eyes and you're like, wow, that sounds amazing, and it's gonna be a lot easier to be on board and to agree to it in that moment. This is just another conversation that's really highlighting the artist shouldn't be owned movement. Standing against industry villains has been such a hot topic right now. So many people are openly talking about industry villains. There's lots of conversations happening about like Dr. Luke and the Free Britney movement. More and more people talking about like Scooter Braun and Psycho and all kinds of stuff like that. Like, industry villains are such a hot topic right now, and the artist shouldn't be owned movement is such a hot topic right now. And this is a good example of why. These boys were literally owned. Their managers had full control over their lives. When researching all of this for this video, it really was hard to see some of the stuff that Limelights, the fan base, are tweeting about and going through, just because I've been there with my own idols. And it really does hurt to see, especially when you're suddenly realizing all at once like how mistreated someone that you look up to so much is being, when the whole time you just thought everything was perfect and they're living their dream, and you're supporting them. It really does hurt to kind of be smashed into the reality of what's going on like that. So I think it's really important that these fans are doing so much at the moment to uplift this situation and force people to listen to them. Fan bases are very, very powerful people in more ways than you will ever know, and having that support probably means the world to them. I'm definitely rooting for the boys of Why Don't We in this situation. I definitely want to stay on board with it and keep up with it, even though I'm not a Why Don't We fan. I've never heard their stuff or anything like that, but it doesn't matter. These things are important to me. I definitely want to keep up with what's going on, and I am rooting for them. But if you guys are in the fandom or you have any more information about the situation that I didn't cover, I would really appreciate it if you would leave your words in the comments just to spread more information, or I don't know, maybe correct something that I didn't get right. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. I always want to be the one to cover these things as they happen because they're really important to me and really important to my channel. So I hope you like this video. Don't forget to check out my description box for the form to leave commentary requests if there's anything you want to see me cover. I check that form very frequently, so you can leave it there. Also check out my social medias down there. Let's talk on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. I also have my Pinterest down there, not really related to any of this, but I love Pinterest. I hope you're all doing absolutely amazing, drinking your water, thriving, and I'll see you in my next video.